And on that thought, we can get right into talking during the movie. All right, guys, this is a very special talking during the movie. We have some friends joining us to discuss Howard the Duck. And those friends are, we have James McDonald, who...
How's it going, guys?
Please hold your hellos until I'm done with the intros.
Oh.
I'm just kidding.
Why are you being so rude? I'm not fucking with you. Go ahead.
We have James McDonald, YouTube reviewer and filmmaker. Check him out on James MCD Reviews. We also have Brandon Carless, Mr. Elevator Pitch himself, writer, filmmaker, actor, alcoholic. Stop me when I'm
dog eater.
We have Kobe Greif. I always want to say Grief. Kobe Greif, writer, contributor to CBR Screen Rant, and
Infinity Gauntlet owner.
It's the Iron Gauntlet! It's the Iron Gauntlet! Stella!
No, I'm sorry, Iron Gauntlet owner. Thank you.
And then we've got Ernie Trinidad, filmmaker, currently working on a documentary called Howard the Doc. Before we get into the discussion, just say hello one at a time, and when the first time was you saw Howard the Duck. Brandon.
20 minutes before this started. Finished it 20 minutes ago. And I'm still trying to figure out what the fuck just happened. Next, just give me more time.
Yeah, we'll get into it.
Yeah, I saw him. He's ready to go.
James, how about you, man?
Hi, how's it going? I had seen bits and pieces up until this point, but I had just recently watched it in its entirety when I was invited on. I've since watched it twice, and yeah, that was a trip.
I got you. No, excuse me. Here you go. I got you. All right. Thank you so much for that. And Ernie, I think your answer may be a little bit different, but let us know the first time, how many times and the last time you watched it.
The first time I ever saw it would have been opening weekend, August 2nd, 1986.
Wow.
I would either have seen it that Friday or that Saturday. I can't remember the exact date. I have seen the film theatrically 3 times, once when it first opened, and then twice at Revival Theaters here in Los Angeles. And nice. I have probably, because of the documentary I'm working on, I've probably seen the film about 40 more times in the last 3 years.
Wow. So you were there opening weekend, and it sounds like you were at the, the Beyond Film Festival or something? I don't remember where it was called. The second time I saw it theatrically was at a midnight screening at Tarantino's New Beverly. This is before he bought the New Beverly, but it was played at the New Beverly. It's sold out. And then the Beyond Fest screening you're talking about was the 70 millimeter screening that Leah Thompson went to. I did not make it to that one because I was somewhere else. And then there was another one I went to, funny enough, at the Vista Theater, which Tarantino now owns, was a screening with Ed Gale Q&A. So that was the last time I saw it theatrically. Awesome. Kobe, how about you? I know that you had not seen it before, right?
No, I obviously heard about it. No, I watched it actually over the weekend, and it was an interesting experience.
Everyone's being so nice about it. It was interesting.
You're not feeling, just because I made a documentary about Howard the Duck, don't feel that you need to be nice, because I get it.
I'm glad you said it.
I get it.
Probably send everybody a message like, hey guys.
There are people who hate it, despise it, and then there are people who actually love it and defend it. I've heard from all sides.
Okay, I think I could put it into a sentence. How the fuck can a film be so bad and so fun, kind of, at the same time? It makes
honestly, no sense. I was kind of expecting it to be worse. Like, it's not good, but
it's not good by any stretch of the imagination. But at the same time, like, it's sometimes so ridiculous that it's kind of fun.
Yeah. So I saw the movie for the first time when I was 6 or 7. My pap had this VHS collection, home recorded movies, cataloged in composition books, and
he's pretty much responsible for every movie that I saw as a kid, and I probably watched it. I watched it quite a bit up until I was about 11 or 12, and I had not watched it again since then until last night for this episode. And I have to say that I loved it as a kid. I can understand why people that are like fans of the comic book loathe it. If I would not have loved it as a kid, I don't know how I would have felt about it as an adult if I didn't bring that nostalgia with me into the experience as an adult. And as somebody that is like a filmmaker, I have thoughts about like the film itself, but I'll get into that during the review part.
Well, I forget, for me, I believe I saw it for the first time when I was, like you said, around your age. But apparently, I remember the best part of the movie, which was a goddamn song.
Howard the Duck. Howard the Duck.
Is that the actual theme song?
Which was the Howard the Duck song. I'll get into it later, but that song stuck with me for some reason for fucking 25 years. It's so catchy and good. You got Leah Thompson and our girl Holly Robinson. They got the fishnet stockings going on. Eric knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Ernie knows what I'm talking about. Ernie, I'm sorry. I thought about Holly Robinson for completely forgot your name. Sorry.
No worries.
Did they actually record that music themselves? That sound like
yes, they did.
The person singing?
They did.
Damn.
That's all them.
Okay.
Yeah, and if I read correctly, Leah Thompson, she did all of her vocals, and they weren't even sure, even as they were shooting those scenes, if they were going to dub her or have her actual vocals used. Is that right, or is IMDb a liar?
No, that is true. And it was Thomas Dolby who insisted that they use her vocals because he said she is really good and there's no reason to redub her. And she was concerned about being dubbed throughout the picture, even through to the concert at the end.
Wow.
But ultimately they used her, thankfully.
Let me tell you something, Ernie. Don't you spoil us. We normally have to Google and we're moving stuff around. We got people in the background. Don't be coming with these facts. Like, don't you spoil us. We're going to have you come and do a documentary on every movie we do. But good stuff, man. Really good stuff.
I will say, I just have like a series of notes, so I'm just going to chime in with them.
Just go.
There's a free space. But the first note that I put is that, and this goes back to when I watched it as a kid even, is that the sexual innuendo in this movie is just so weird to me. If there's anything that's like most of the bad elements about the movie are bad in a way that you can have fun with, but the sexual innuendo is like cringe.
Did it start with you at Played Up?
No, that was all right.
My little airbrushed beauty.
The duck, even the duck boobies, they were fine.
Were they?
Yeah, fuck yeah, man. Yeah, they were toy. But what it got weird for me is with Leah Thompson, like that. The relationship.
Would it be less weird if a duck's dick didn't look like that?
Like what?
Like what?
You guys know what a duck's dick looks like, right?
No.
Well, I will.
Yeah.
Soon.
It's not a pretty sight. It's terrifying.
I have not seen one myself, but it has been discussed, and we basically said that all the discussions about how that love scene was scarring would have gone a step further if it was anatomically correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hey Google, show me a duck's penis.
I mean, I was shocked. I was just shocked at the rating. Like, I kept having to check. I was like, "This is PG."
Yeah, it was also.
I was like, I just couldn't get past that. I was like, I don't know about that.
Kobe, this is PG during the 80s.
Yeah. Like all the R-rated movies that came out during that time had toy lines. So, but even still, for an 80s movie, I was like, Jesus.
I mean,
the funny thing is the fact that when Howard the Duck opened, PG-13 existed.
Really?
Wow. So,
is that going to be censored?
Wow.
Yes, that part. Yes, that part. Yes, I'll make sure of it. Yes.
Now that probably would have really pushed the NC-17 into the forefront before NC-17 was even necessary. They wouldn't even know what to call it.
Yeah, talk about getting screwed.
You know, there was somebody out there that, like, in that when she pulls the condom out of his wallet when he passes out. You know, there's somebody that realized that, like, watched Howard the Duck and then grew up to like take their condoms out of the wrappers and put them in their wallets. That's just how they thought it was done, right? You know that
we'll get there.
Well, no, it sounds like we're there. What does that say right there?
Okay, he said he has a note here that says the condom was not even the package. Well, forgive me for him giving us one of the fucking greatest terms ever in the world. Here's my rubber ducky. Get it? That's what that is, rubber ducky. So he came up with that shit. That's one of the best parts of this film.
All right, can we put some clothes on Howard the Duck?
For what?
Because I want to address the fact that how weird it is that somebody comes home to relax after a long day of work and just stretches out in the recliner in a three-piece suit.
You're okay with Al Bundy sticking his hands down his pants when he comes home, but you're questioning the duck.
At least he unbuttoned his pants. He's sitting there in a three-piece suit, like, time to wind down.
It's like a regular film noir, you know? Like
that first part was like a weird noir before it gets like yeeted here, I guess you could say. Like, it was kind of like the weird noir setup, and it was just like, cool, where's this going? And then nothing happened that had anything to do with that vibe.
And when he looked into the messages on his answering machine, there was like one that sounded like it was his girlfriend or like maybe his wife, and then another that sounded like it was his like side girl. And I was like, but that's going on your voice. Like, what if your wife was home and listened to that? I don't know. It just didn't see him. I guess
He's a rocker. He wouldn't be nailed down with a wife. That's how he gets settled with Beverly.
Ernie, what's your theory on that, Ernie? Because like you said, you watched this 40 times. Did you notice what Kobe just said, that there are two different voices?
There are three, actually. One was his mother.
Oh, my God. Mother Mallet? Oh, my
calling
God.
him about his birthday. And then another one is telling him to come on over so she can show him something that she saw or witnessed. I can't remember exactly.
More weird sexual innuendo.
And there might have been a third. I can't remember for certain.
There was a letter from someone named Michelle talking about how she misses Howard's beak pressed up against her.
Yeah.
Okay. Since he threw that out there, I'm going to throw this out there. The only thing I could think of halfway through this movie during the rewatch was, thank God this was made, and then I put in big quotation marks sarcastically, or we would have never gotten the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles we deserved. Because I feel like they looked at this as like, we can't do that, and we got to do this. Because I'm like, what's the difference? Duck, turtle. If Teenage Mutant Turtles was like this, I would have fucking hated it. So I'm happy that this came out to give us stuff to build on. That's all I'm saying. And go.
Well, the most direct influence that Howard the Duck's existence has is that without it, we would never have got Pixar.
True.
Really? Why is that?
Yeah. At the time when George sold the animation, the computer and animation unit of ILM to Jobs to get back some of the money he thought he's going to lose on Howard. So, and ultimately after that sale, it became Pixar.
But when Howard was made, was it was it supposed to be like a big blockbuster, like make a lot of money, big movie, or was it meant to be kind of a satirical kind of like indie?
It's, I would say, hard to say. I mean, I don't want to put words into the mouth of Willard, and since we haven't nailed down George Lucas yet, I can't say anything to what he might have said except as like we'll fix it in post or something. But
oh Lord,
I think that is like their hope was for it to be just like a modest hit. Yeah, just think back in the 80s though, hits were anything that made over $40 million was considered a big hit.
Right.
Nothing back then. Back and then, nothing, barely anything made over $100 million. So anything. So it's like, so it did average.
Like the expectations had to be so weird because it's like from the creator of producers of Star Wars.
But when you say that though, you see the influence though. You see the influence in the title, the font, and also you see the fucking Jedi mind trick. I'm like, okay, so we've downgraded the Jedi mind trick to this now. Like I see you're still using it.
But I think the issue is, and I'll get into this a little bit more in the review, but I feel like the main issue for this movie with the challenge was that it's like the pace, the tone wasn't agreed on across the board unanimously for what they were going for. Like Miles Chapin was talking about Willard having a very particular sense of humor, and once you get to know him, you appreciate it. And once I knew that going into the movie, it's like, okay, I could see that, but it's almost like across the board didn't get that memo. Like if it was played, I'll get into it more.
Okay. Go for it.
I have a note here that I love the portrayal of bullies and hoodlums in the 80s. The fact that Howard lands on Earth and is immediately harassed by by humans, just this gang of hoodlums. They were seemingly just walking the alley, waiting for somebody to pick on, like bullies did in the 80s. Like, and they're
talking about like the vampire pirate 80s rockers,
the Satan sluts.
Thank you for saying that.
Biker band.
The coolest female band biker gang fucking ever. Does this not say that Satan sluts? That's the best name ever.
But the funny thing is that like this is an alien essentially, and their first like inclination is to pick him up and throw like
it's the 80s. When cocaine, I keep telling you that it's the 80s, man.
But then Leah Thompson is walking and she's not out 3 minutes after the show, and two guys just jumped out like, "Hey, you ready to get raped?"
Okay, the reason why you can't fuck with that because we watch Beef and Vendetta, the finger men come and get old girl and she's out for a few minutes. So
that's a whole different scenario. It's not 80s Cleveland, Ohio.
I'm just saying, as a kid that grew up on this material, I was terrified. Like, I blame these movies for my social anxiety, because these movies told me that you go outside,
everyone's going to try and kill you.
Yeah, if you're a duck.
or a woman.
It's not people outside, it's the Russians.
You know who they were always fucking with was Anthony Michael Hall, and that was me. So I'm like, I can't go out in public like Anthony Michael Hall.
Calm down.
I'm going to get a milkshake poured on me for no reason by Robert Downey Jr.
Okay.
Anyways, I thought like you have to watch this and embrace what it is and the time that it was made in order to fully enjoy it. And that's like 80s bullies were just, they're one of a kind.
Ernie, could you speak to this real quick? One of the things I want to bring up with is a common misconception, and even I believe Kobe can speak to this as well, is that, and as well, James, this isn't the first Marvel film. No, this is one of the first films that used a Marvel character. If you want to go back to really the first character that was used was Captain America in the Serial series in like the 1940s. Then they used Howard the Duck, but it was not a Marvel film. So people, look where Marvel came from. Yeah, but not technically. This is Universal MCA. One of your guys want to speak to that?
Technically, it is not. Captain America is usually not counted because it was a serial and not released as a single feature film that you sit down for 2 hours and watch. It was released a new episode once a week or every other week. And as far as I know, it was never screened all together.
Right.
But he is the first official Marvel character to be a theatrical film. It wasn't a Marvel produced film by any measure, at all. That I don't think that happens until Blade.
Epic,
which was like 10 years later, 13
maybe
years later.
15 years, yeah. Kobe, you got anything or anybody?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just interesting. I mean, I don't know how many of you guys are watching the new Marvel's What If on Disney Plus, and How the Duck happened, was in this week's episode. And I know you guys posted about that on Instagram. And, I think it's interesting that such a crazy, like, out of this world character has kind of already been in the MCU. Now, I think, he's been in both Guardians of the Galaxy. I saw the other day that I guess he was in the ending scene of Endgame, but I didn't know that until recently. And then in this episode of What If, and it's like, I appreciate instead of, Marvel could have distanced themselves from this crazy character. It didn't work. It didn't make sense. But really they've embraced it. And I think like it's almost made this movie even more interesting just to be a part of that history.
I love it. Brandon, you had anything on that, sir?
Not really. Like, can we talk about the movie some more? Because I'm
one of the first funniest parts to me was Tim Robbins when he first sees Howard and he runs into the room with the other scientists like, you guys, it's
nothing.
Tim Robbins is a great actor. He is terrible in this.
Obviously, he became a great actor. He was
already really good in the airplane scene.
Oh, don't get me wrong. He was good, but terribly good.
Yeah.
And you can tell that he had reservations for
about certain things.
He was going way outside of his comfort zone.
He looked in the mirror and like, I gotta save this fucking film. Ernie, talk to us about it.
I'm still trying to lock him down. Hopefully we'll get him. But this was not his first film, but this is his first featured role. And I'm thinking from the people I've spoken with that he basically wanted to do a great job and he really wanted to push the envelope on what he can do. And I remember as a kid, when I saw him, I just found his character irritating and not so much funny. And I'm like thinking, well, as a kid, I thought that, but now as an adult, I was like, I can see what he's trying to do here. But then my thing is like, yeah, but like I wasn't a big fan of him, so I thought he was like he served more as the villain than the villain itself.
Yeah, the way he maniacally laughs when he takes that feather from it, it's
Like that's
like,
The real villain of this movie is its pacing.
You're not the first to say that.
Brandon, speak more to that if you can.
Elaborate.
You could have cut 30 minutes off that movie easy. In the beginning, it gives you you could have cut the movie almost in half from the time that he like randomly appears to like that weird scientist. They took like 30 extra minutes between the time they meet Tim Robbins' character to like till the time where they actually meet Dr. Jennings for the first time. It's like, where was Dr. Jennings like for half the film? Do we really need to go through more dark, seedy underbellies of fucking Cleveland, Ohio, where where is that bathhouse? And how come there's sometimes there's scenes where people are completely cool with there being like a walking, talking duck, and other scenes people lose their damn minds.
Let's talk about the bathhouse. Let's talk about the pacing and things that could have been removed. That bathhouse was the most unnecessary scene in any and first of all, apparently the Cleveland State Unemployment Office works closely with the sex organization, the selling of sex organization in the city, closely enough that they could just hire somebody on their behalf. Then he goes there for that dude that was the owner. That was like that was some like B- movie acting. Like this guy, not only is he a bad actor, but he's a bad business owner. He's got customers in the jacuzzi, and he thinks right now, and this is where I have a problem with the writing, because like, oh, we want to get Howard in it, we think it'd be funny, and like, oh, if we throw him in a jacuzzi with people that are like doing it, what owner is going to throw a duck into a jacuzzi with customers? It's currently in use.
But to Brandon's point, they don't even fucking freak out. They're like, oh well, hey, the
Like,
ducks in
what
here
kind of
with us.
drugs are going on at this bathhouse?
Well,
Where
speaking
can I
of-
find me some?
A whole lot of toot.
Ernie, correct me if I'm wrong. When Howard walks in that bathhouse, he says something to the effect of towels, rags, antibiotics.
Antibiotics?
One of the best lines of the movie to me easily. I really love that. Really love that.
So, did anybody notice when he's walking out of when he finds out that Phil is just an assistant, and he walks out of that museum? Did anybody? I'm hoping you could see this, but
Typical hairless ape.
Howard, now come on, don't flutter off in a huff.
Typical hairless ape.
Howard, now come on, don't flutter off in a huff.
that cracked me up. And when we talked to he missed the first step. He completely misses the first step and just keeps going. When we talked to Miles, he was talking about how they couldn't see out of the eyes in the masks. It would get so hot that the eyes would fog up. So the actor was essentially blind, but you could see out of the mouth, but only when it was open. And knowing that, seeing a scene like that where you're just imagining like the actor can't see where they're going, and they're directed to walk down a flight of stairs.
And go a little behind the scenes for you. As Ed Gale is one of the actors who plays Howard, and he's the most well-known actor in the suit. He actually, during rehearsal, walked his scenes backwards so that he knows exactly, because like you said, he can't see. So he walks his scenes backwards. So he's like, okay, I got to go 10 steps, then I'll go left, then I got to take 5 steps, then I'll go right. And then when he shoots the scene, then walks forward, he knows exactly how far he's got to walk, when he's got to turn, who he's got to look at, and then when he's got to make his way upstairs. It's just like, I can't see anything. So that was the only way he could figure out a way to actually, and he was able to hit his mark every time doing it that way.
That's wild, because like if you walk backwards and then you try to walk forwards, you have to inverse all of your directions. And my ass would have just walked off a building.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask James, this is more for James and Kobe here, because you guys are, of course, our young spirited ones. Thank you for leading us into the future here. One of my biggest problems, I know Brandon's biggest problem, like you said, the pacing. One of my biggest problems was I went back and I'm like, this movie does not age well at all. So, but that's coming from us who've seen it before. So I want to ask you guys, seeing this for the first time, be honest time here throughout the whole film. Did you find yourself looking down at your phone one time?
during the second act, I definitely did. During the climax with the giant alien, I'm like, okay, I get it. Can we just get this over with? Like the rest of the movie, I honestly felt went by pretty fast. It's just to when they get to all the alien invasion shit and the final battle in the laboratory and everything that I'm kind of like, okay, it feels like he's just trying to throw everything but the kitchen sink into this climax. I'm just like, okay, I get it. Can we wrap it up, please?